Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to build a complete AI-powered MicroSaaS product. From concept to working prototype. The idea is pretty simple. We will build a PDF summarizer. Users can upload a PDF and our app instantly generates AI written summary. But the exciting part isn't just the idea, it's how we'll build it. We are using the most modern stack you can imagine. We will use no-code automation, VibeCoding, and easy and fast deployment. By the end of the video, you'll have a fully functional AI MicroSaaS idea which you could actually monetize. Let's get started. So let's start with the architecture of our service. To implement our service, PDF Summarizer, basically you need to implement backend, frontend, and you need to do the hosting of our application. First, let's start with backend. So this is generally the flow that we will implement. So basically we have the user which would upload the file to our system. And you can think of this like in our website, we will have specific form where the user can upload the file. And the file goes to our automation workflow engine, which will, in our case, will be n8n. If you are not familiar with n8n, this is automation workflow engine, which allows you to build some complex logics, complex workflows without writing code. So basically, this is no-code tool where you'll just drag in the interfaces boxes on the interface and building the logic. As in our case, we will take the file, we will parse it, we will get the content of the file, and the content of the file we will send to OpenAI with the prompt, please summarize this file. And then we will get the summary from OpenAI and we will send the summary to our database. Then the user on the website can see all the summaries, summary history of the files that he summarized before. Basically, to do this, we will use these tools. We will use n8n as workflow automation engine, OpenAI as LLM provider, Clerk. This is third party, it's like external provider which would implement user authorization logics for us, user management logics. Why will we use Clerk? Because user management and authorization logics is pretty complex. And you don't want to spend a lot of time on the things that already someone implemented the best possible way. And using this external provider, you can set different settings for your authorization on their website. It has really good UI, and there you can set, for example, do you need the email username in the registration form? Do you need the phone? Do you need two-factor authorization, verification? So basically, you can configure there a lot of stuff, and you don't want to spend a lot of time on this because you need to think about the core logics of your application. And using Clerk for user management, you will spend like 20 minutes and everything would be working. Then we will use payment provider, in our case Stripe. I guess you're familiar with it. This is really powerful, really good service which allows you to take money from the customers. Yeah. And we will use Supabase. This is a relational database which would have really cool UI. It's already hosted and it has free tier. And for MVPs and projects like this, until you start getting like thousands of users, you can use the tools like this, which is free tier and easy to set up. That's why in my case, I suggested you for projects, MicroSaaS projects, use Supabase. It's really powerful and will show you how everything works there. Then for frontend, we will use VibeCoding. Yeah, and the provider of VibeCoding would be Cursor, and the actual code would be written with the Next.js. Next.js is a framework of JavaScript, which is really powerful. And the best thing about this is that there are a lot of information on the internet about Next.js. That's why AI would know really good this like tool, and that's why we will use this, because you need to use the tools that AI knows the best if you want to be like more efficient with this. Yeah. And for hosting, we will use Vercel. This is a really powerful platform which allows you to really quickly deploy and really deploy quickly service your project and really quickly, really easy, and You don't need to spend any money for the projects like this. Yeah, this is awesome. So basically, this is in a nutshell our architecture, and in our next steps, I will implement this. And yeah, so let's start. So let's start building application. So to start, I suggest you to start from backend, because as for me, this is the most interesting and complex part of any application. That's why it's the best way to start from this, because you will be writing the logics which would make you money. To start with the backend for our application, we need to have n8n installed on your computer. So basically, you need to go to n8n documentation. I open here Docker installation guide, but if you prefer other ways, you can do it otherwise. But for me, Docker installation way is the most easy and secure, I guess, the most reliable way to install anything on your computer. So basically, you need to scroll down a little bit and you will see the command which allows you to install n8n. Basically, you need to copy this and paste this command in the terminal. So you can see that n8n is installed, and we just need to go to the URL that we see in the terminal. Oops. So yep. So now n8n is opened. So as you can see on the screen, so we see that we can start already writing our workflows in n8n. We can start from the scratch, and you can take some example. So basically that's it about installation of n8n. Now we can write actual logics of our application. So let's now build the logic of our application. So here now that we have installed n8n, we can actually build this. So here you can see the interface of n8n. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and you will see how everything's set up there. So here we can see different our projects, if they will be existed, but they don't exist. So that's why we need to create a new workflow. Click on the create workflow button, and here you can see the space where we'll connect different boxes. So, and you can see how everything would be working here. It's pretty simple, straightforward. So our logic would be following: that the user need to send the file, we will read the content of the file, we will send it to OpenAI, and we will respond back with the summary to the user. First, we need to receive the file. For this reason, we need to create some webhook. This would be a server which can receive anything from some external user. So to do this, we need to click on Add First Step space, and we need to find a webhook. So here you can see the configurations of these nodes. So in n8n, everything is called node. It's where the logics, some custom logics live. For example, like webhook logic would be responsible for receiving some content from external provider. Yeah. So basically, we will define here the URL that we will send the file to, and it would be webhook test summarize. And for production, it would be, of course, without test. It would be just summarize. We don't need to focus about authentication now. And here we can define the how the data will be called for next steps, so we can reuse it. That we will take the file and use it in other nodes. So in a second we will see how it works. So, and we can click on listen for test event, so the server would be running. So for test reason, I will send some test file that I have. So you can see this is basically a map of Chelsea area in London. So it's pretty straightforward, and I want a summarization of this map. So we can go to the terminal, and I can send this. I already have this PDF on my computer, and I will send it. And we can see the message, workflow was started. And here we can see that we got some output. This is called like data 0, like I defined here, and somehow, honestly, I don't know why, but they add always 0 to the binary data. So, and okay, so looks already fine. So, and next we will create next steps for our workflow is to read the content. of this data file. So to do this, we will put back to canvas, we'll click on create another step, and we will find a node called extract from file, and we need to select here because we will focus on PDF, extract from PDF. So here we can define the data that it would be, like as I said before, that we define the data 0, it's the content of our file, and we need to parse it because by default PDF is not readable. For example, we can go to this, to our terminal, try to read this, so we can see this is not readable format. That's why we need some specific tools to read it. So, and we can try to execute this step, and okay, sorry, we need to define the, I guess, what should be used as our input binary. So to do this, I think, wait a second. Somehow it doesn't work. Oh, so now it should be working. So yeah, and you can see the content of this PDF. It's exactly here. So we'll pin it for the test reasons, just for that we can create another node and use it without sending the file again. So now we have this text. Okay, let's go next. Then we need to send this text to OpenAI. And we already have this OpenAI node, and we need to select an action, message a model. So basically that's it. We will select a model that we would like to use. So, okay, let's use GPT-4o. Okay, and we will define the prompt. So, but I forgot to tell you that you need to configure your OpenAI account with API credentials. I already configured that. That's why I didn't need to do this, but it's pretty simple, straightforward. You need to just click on create new credential and pass your API key. So our prompt would be, so it would be system prompt, summarize the content in English. We will have the another prompt where would we drag the text that need to be summarized, and we can see how this would be working. We can execute step, and we will need to see the summary of our text. So basically, we got some summary in the content field. Okay, let's go next. Let's pin this again, and then our next step that we need to send back the response to the user. For doing this, we need to change the response in our webhook node to user respond to webhook node, and we need to click on the create another node, which would be calling respond to webhook, and we need to find what we will like to return. So basically, we will like to return the content of our OpenAI response. So basically, this is in general the whole flow, our flow. So, and we can activate. So okay, so basically, yeah, again, that's it. Now we can activate the flow and see if everything will be working as expected. So okay, so I'm back to the terminal, and I will try to send the. So now I need to change the URL to webhook summarize, because if you click on active, that means that the webhook URL wouldn't contain a test in its name. So I'm clicking on the, I'm sending the file. So basically, I got the summary. And here you can see the summary with key points of what the file contains. So everything works. Also, you can go to the execution step and see what executions did they have and what was the content of each execution and so on. So it's basically for debug reasons. So I guess for you it would be really straightforward and simple, have everything work. So I hope that you understand it. But basically that's it. This is our backend. And next I will just prepare the front end, which would be just receiving the file. Basically it's not even receiving, there would be just a form to input the file, and in the front end we will be sending the file to our backend and receive the summary and just display it to the user. So as I said, it's really simple. So let's go next to implement the front end. So let's now focus on building the front end of our application. So now I'm inside the terminal and we will start vibe coding of our application. So let's see what we have in the folder. So I don't have any project. So here I will try to do this from the beginning, the whole vibe coding process and generation of the front end for our application. So let's create the application PDF summarizer. So I can go to this application, so you'll see that this application, this folder is empty. So I go back, and now I will open this folder using cursor. So yep. So now I'm inside the cursor, and as we can see here, we don't have anything here. And now we'll start vibe coding process. So now in the cursor there is a new feature which is called plan. So it creates before the execution and implementation all of your coding stuff by at first creation of the detailed plans. So let's start it. So I wanna build an SaaS product PDF summarizer. It should have one main feature, accept the PDF and send to the URL. Now we'll paste the URL that we set up in our n8n, which is responsible for summarization. This is this URL. This URL would return the summary of the file as text, not JSON. After the summarization is complete, show the summary. For the implementation, use Next.js. I don't even want to specify TypeScript or not TypeScript, for me it doesn't matter. Use Next.js because, as I told before, for web coding it's really cool to use Next.js because the internet really has a lot of information about Next.js. The UI should be clear and modern. For reference, use Stripe. So that's it. That's basically my first prompt, and now we will ask cursor to generate the plan for the execution. So first it asks me the questions that I need to answer so it better understand how to implement it. So let's answer it. Which Next.js version and routing system would you prefer? Okay, let's go with recommended. Second, okay, let's go with Tailwind. Third, for now, no authentication, we'll do it later. Fourth, for the PDF upload, what's your preferred approach? Let's go with first one. Fifth, should there be any additional features? Okay, no, only that. Okay, so, and now the cursor would generate the code for us. First it generates the plan, and now we'll click on the build button, and it would actually write the code. So let's click build button. So far we can read what would it does, what would it do, and okay. So now it asks me to execute some commands. So via vibe coding, that's why I will not read anything here and think about anything. I will be just vibe coding and allow cursor to do everything. So let's run it. Yes, let's run. I love everything. So it seems that cursor generated all the code. So let's keep it all and let's test it. Let's open the terminal and run our front end. Okay, and let's open this URL to see our application. So this is the front end that generated our cursor. And we see one issue here. So let's see this issue. Okay, we are VibeCoding, that's why we just copy this error and paste it in cursor. So cursor would fix it. So okay, so let's keep it all and let's see. Okay, it seems that it was fixed. So let's now upload some file and let's see if there would be some summary. So I uploaded some file about AI and AGI, about some script for my video. So let's click summarize PDF. So you see loading icon and let's hope that it would work. So yeah, actually it worked and we did really executed our workflow in the backend and we generated the summary. We can copy it or we can upload another document. And let's go to n8n and let's see if there would be the history of this execution. So in n8n we need to go to executions and we will see this execution, October 18th. Let's go to the webhook and we can see, I guess, the history. Yeah, we got this file AI with AGI and we received the summary from the AI. This is basically the summary. And we responded back to our server. So basically we got working server and we can upload another document or we can start from the beginning to upload a new document. So this site is already working. And of course you can work with many other prompts to make it look like you want it to look, make it more stylish and so on. But for now, we're not focused on this topic because it's pretty simple. It's just asking the cursor, okay, let's do this, and it would work. So basically, we have working website. But to finish our product, of course, we need to add some additional stuff. We need to add authorization. And now we will focus on the authorization for our product. So now we have a working site which basically doing one thing, summarizing the PDF. But until now, our product is not ready yet. So that's why we need to configure authorization so we can retrieve the user's email for our future purposes, for marketing and so on. That's why we need to configure authorization. As I told before, authorization is pretty complex topic. And if you wanna do your authorization really good, you will spend a lot of time to implement this. And it's not a task for VibeCoding because you need to think about a lot of stuff, how will you store the passwords, how difficult should be the passwords, different logics of authorization by like Google account, GitHub account, and so on. That's why I suggest you to use some external services which will do that for you. That's why now you will see the service called Clerk. So here now we'll go to the Clerk website and first we need to log in to sign up basically, yeah, for the Clerk service. So now we'll do sign up and yeah. So here I sign up to the Clerk and we need to define the application name. Our application name is PDF Summarizer. Now we need to define the sign-in options for the users. So we want to retrieve for the user's email. I guess he can log in by Google. What else do we need? I guess that's okay for now. But if you need to retrieve, for example, the user's phone number, you can just select phone number and that would work. So let's create the application. So after we created the application, we already see the way how we can integrate Clerk to our product. Here we can see some instructions how to do this. And the best thing about this, that there is this info area. Copy this quick start guide as a prompt for LLMs to implement Clerk in your Next.js application. We have Next.js, that's why. Let's just copy this and let's paste it in our cursor and let's see what cursor will do for us. So here we are in cursor, let's create a new chart. Let's just copy this command and let's execute it. So, and as we can see here, so cursor installing some libraries for Clerk. So, and let's just wipe coding and wait what we will see. So now we see that cursor implemented everything, but we don't know it. So let's go to our website and see how everything's working. So now we are inside our PDF summarizer, and now we see this info area that we can now sign up to our application. So we can see here sign in, sign up button. So let's click sign up. So we can register using first name, last name, address and password, but also we can see here the button to continue with Google. Let's try it this way. So now I logged in using my email. So as we can see here, here is my icon. I can even manage the account for the authorization for the service, and everything was implemented by Clerk. And of course I can upload the PDF and everything working. So I can sign out, for example, I can sign in once again using my Gmail account and everything working. So even I can go to the Clerk and let's see how does it look like in my Clerk service, so I can manage the users. So here I can see my user, which was last signed in today, and basically I can see all the information of the user, of myself, and basically even the on what devices I have logged in. And that's the best thing about the Clerk, because you don't need to spend a lot of time for the implementation of authorization. You just need to make a one good prompt for cursor, just copy this from the Clerk and paste it, and cursor will do everything for you, and Clerk will implement all the logics for the authorization, login inside itself. And it's working pretty awesome, and you can configure a lot of stuff there and everything will be worked really good. That's why I suggest you for the purposes like building some MVPs, for building really quickly, to use external provider for authorization. That's why now we have a really complete project which we can start monetize. And that's it. In this video, I showed you the full guide on how to quickly build AI MicroSaaS product using n8n, VibeCoding, and external providers like Clerk for authorization. We combined automation, AI, and a modern stack to create a working PDF summarizer in record time. Just under 30 minutes, we built a full product. If you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below if you want me to expand this into a full implementation series where we actually code and launch the app together. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.